Welcome to Hiring Happy Hour, where we celebrate the human side of hiring. I'm your host, Nicole Hammond, and together we'll pull back the curtain on people shaping the future of work, the innovators, the dreamers, the change makers behind today's hiring experience. These are the real stories behind the dashboards, from leaders transforming talent acquisition to the everyday moments that remind us why we love hiring in the first place, to connect people with purpose. Hiring Happy Hour is brought to you by Smart Recruiters, an SAP company, the AI-powered software for superhuman hiring, helping organizations hire faster, smarter, and more human. All right, everyone. Today is a unicorn kind of day, maybe because it's also following St. Patty's Day, and there are rainbows and unicorns always in the theme of this household. But today I have a wonderful guest that has shared with me some great stats that I had no idea about unicorns, and you'll learn more in a bit. But he is an impressive TA and HR specialist with over a decade of experience. He has a diverse background, including owning Peace Recruitment, an independent recruitment consultancy, as well as serving in the House of Commons in the UK. Very broad background, but will fit our topics for today. He served on the board of Into Work, a nonprofit that supports disabled people achieving their goal of finding and keeping a great job. Director of Talent Acquisition at EcoVadis. Please join me in welcoming Jamie Szymkowiak. Welcome to the show, Jamie.
Thanks very much, Nicole. That was quite an introduction. I really appreciate it. And well done for pronouncing my name correctly. I've just recently moved to Poland and it took me a number of decades to get it, and people here correct me all the time. So well done.
I might have had some help from you, but you know what? It's really good when you spell out how it sounds like my little kids do. So I had a little help from a friend. So excited to have you here. I think your background and kind of the theme of your hiring happy hour is something that we haven't heard a lot about. And I think that will be very eye-opening, inspiring. But the other piece I love, and we already alluded to unicorns, is that you educated me on something related to Scotland, where you're from. So please share with our audience before we dive into, our hiring happy hour, how unicorns and Scotland have this great connection.
It was, we were just having a bit of a laugh about our fondness for rainbows and unicorns and sparkles and everything glittery. And I mentioned that unicorn is the national animal of Scotland.
Which I couldn't be more excited about. I have to tell you,
That's amusing, right?
the theme in the household this morning, my daughter came down. She has this blanket that has like the hood of a unicorn and the arms of a unicorn. And literally, no prompt, no discussion about this, came down and said, "Mom, look, I'm a unicorn." And I just thought the timing was so perfect with us speaking today. So here we are. We're ready, and unicorns and rainbows are surrounding us during this discussion.
Great. She's got good taste.
She does. She does. So Jamie, let's get right into it. I think, again, this will be so helpful for our listeners and our viewers to learn more about you, but also your hiring happy hour. So as you think about that moment or just accolades in your career that, again, you are proud of, please share with us a little more about what your hiring happy hour is.
It's a really interesting question. So firstly, thank you for posing it, because it made me reflect on how I started my journey as a recruiter. So the story that I would like to share that really shaped me as a talent acquisition expert was my experience first entering recruitment for an agency, where the manager came down and was going to introduce me and take me into an interview room. But when he realized that I was a disabled person, he got another manager to come down because the sector was focused on construction and engineering. And I didn't know this at the time. It was only a few months later that I learned that he was a little bit unsure on whether or not I would be capable of doing the job of a recruiter within the construction sector. But when I did find out, I used that to my advantage, and lo and behold, everybody knew me when I went on site. They recognized the small Scottish disabled guy. And what turned out to be the fact that I was the trainee of the year across the UK, and I ended up being a top 5% biller
Wow.
within the organization. So I really used it to my advantage, and people remembered who I was.
I love this, and you gave me goosebumps the first time you shared this story with me, and I think I shared with you when I was in college, we had, an elective class where it was speakers, and there was a gentleman that came, he was in a wheelchair, he had burns on 80% of his body. Long story short, he had 2 incidents in his life, not 1, where he just had to overcome big, big hurdles, adversity, etcetera, but he handed out this, little postcard that said, "It's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it." And as you shared this story with me, and here's the goosebumps again, it really made me think that you are living that unicorn saying, right? It's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it. And the fact that unfortunate event truly shaped who you are and the way that you go about things and what you proved in that role in that company, but also just as you continue on in your career is quite amazing because I don't think a lot of people in this world have the thick skin or have the mindset to truly change it to make it work for them. So kudos to you because I do think that is a
Thank you.
true accolade. Share more though about how this has shaped your career because I think it is an important topic that, transparently, I don't think is top of mind for a lot of organizations and honestly should be.
Yeah, and right now we're all racing to include AI and automation in everything that we do within recruitment. But I take a step back sometimes just to make sure, am I giving access to the jobs to everybody? Because sometimes digital exclusion can really impact the opportunities of people. And you look at data, and those that are excluded from digital access are probably in the lowest income areas. It's ethnic minorities in many instances. And obviously, my own personal passion is making sure that disabled people have the right to jobs. Now, that's something that guided me when I was on the board of directors at Into Work, looking at how you could support people with learning disabilities and mental health conditions access long-term, good, well-paying jobs. Because you don't want the workforce claiming benefits and disabled people. We don't want to be stuck at home. We want jobs just like everybody else. And for the natural population, it means there's more taxes going into the government for public services. So all of these things really are important. And yeah, so that's what's really shaped me to ensure that our hiring processes at EcoVadis, and even when I was a director at Peace Recruitment and other jobs I've had, really wanting to make sure that people can access jobs and that you can be flexible with your processes.
And I find this fascinating because I asked you when we first spoke if you did any consulting, because this is so educational, right? Not only are you thinking about the audience of disabled, but you are also thinking about what's in it for an organization, the tax benefits, et cetera. And so I think this is just such a value add as organizations go through and navigate this area that they may not have the resources to do so, or again, it's not a top priority, but it should be, right? There are benefits for both. And I think to your point, it's fascinating for me to hear just the advocacy because I think it is so, so important. And I would love for you to elaborate more on what you have done for those individuals, right? Maybe some examples or maybe just some best practices, because this is something where in this show, we want to educate all of our customers, all that are listening, on how they can be effective to advocate and support this initiative.
I bet many, if not all of your recruiters listening and watching will have challenged hiring teams to be more flexible, particularly pre-pandemic, where we wanted to push people to interview online rather than always getting people to go into the office. And it literally took a global pandemic to change hiring practices. And now, as we see organizations returning to the office, perhaps some of that is being rolled back because of instances of candidate fraud or other instances that really impact what a business does rather than Jamie, the disabled rights campaigner, because sometimes you've got to put on two separate hats. But I think what we can do is just make sure that you do offer alternatives, whether that is in-person interviewing, whether it's a provision of interview questions beforehand so that people that have a nervous disposition or anxiety can really prepare, because you want people to shine during the interviews and really project their best selves. So I think it's just about giving people the opportunity to select ways in which they can represent themselves the best way possible.
That's so fascinating because this isn't something that I think of when I think of interviewing. I'm hiring right now for a role, and giving the questions ahead of time or having the recruiter have a prep meeting to ensure and ask these things. Um, I'm sure they're doing parts of this, but just to have those moments where we have those offerings to ensure inclusion, but also a safe, comfortable environment for them to go through the hiring process.
Let's take AI interviewing as a really
Yeah.
good example here. Um, like if you're a disabled person that's trying to enter the workforce and you don't have any human contact through the application process, and you're faced with questions that roll after minute, and you don't get the moment to pause and reflect, the sense of nerves and anxiety that builds over a period of time. I've had countless interactions with people where I'm giving them feedback where they really feel that that type of style can be detrimental to them.
Yeah.
Now, it's not going to be fit for purpose in every single setting because there might be some sectors where it's more beneficial because you've got higher application rate. Maybe I'm thinking of working in Costa Coffee or Starbucks, for example, where or there's other roles where it's really physical labor. So you can see that it's not going to be fit for everything, but you just want to make sure that candidates really have a process that reflects their ability to put them the best selves forward.
So how do they when to your point, there's a lot of automation up front, there's a lot of AI. Is there a moment that you recommend that they interject or speak up if it's not offered to them before that?
Well, actually, a lot of advice I was given early in my career was making sure that the job description states clearly that if you need accessible methods for your interviewing or application process, make it available then, because that's the careers page and the job description is the first window into an organization. So just making it clear there at that moment early on shows to the applicant that you're considering their needs.
I love that, and again, speaking from smart recruiters' perspective, accessibility is always top of mind with our product designers, our tooling, our certifications, and to your point, I think it is a first impression related to the company culture, experience, etcetera. So that is a very powerful best practice. As we look at through this experience and as we look at your experiences in this, what is a moment in time that you just didn't have that shiny unicorn attitude and had to overcome something that took probably a little more mind, over matter than you are normally, exhibiting?
A really good example is actually something that I did badly, and how that helped me become a better recruiter. So there was an instance when myself and my former business partner were just getting going, and we were trying to get new customers and new clientele. And I secured a retained fee from this major construction company for a commercial role. And I wanted to fill it. I was desperate to just showcase how good I was. And they said that it needed to remain a confidential position, and that they didn't want the candidates to turn up at the office, instead, that they were to meet at a restaurant. I found the perfect candidate. I was extremely confident. An hour before the interview, the candidate withdrew from the process because he wasn't certain about the job if he had to meet in a restaurant rather than going to the office. So there was a moment here where I thought, I'm going to tell him the name of the company so that he feels more reassured. But I did say to him, please go to the restaurant. He forgot that I told him not to go to the restaurant, and he turned up at the office. So I had the retained fee. The client ended up hiring this individual, but the client never used me again. And it was that feeling of integrity whilst you're trying to grow a business where I put my needs before the customer's needs, and it came back to bite me. So that moment of indecision, or not indecision, when I made the wrong decision, made me really value the fact that you have to have integrity in everything that you do, whether it's representing the company that you're working for and giving them honest insights into the culture, because changing jobs is like getting married or buying a house or buying a
Yeah.
car. It's a big
Yeah.
deal. So you have to be honest. But at the same time, when you have an agreement with a client and you're an agency recruiter, it's really important that you stick to that and that you can explain the why. And it took that bad instance for me to really remember that integrity is really important. So that was a bad instance that actually shaped me.
I mean, lessons learned, right? And I think
Exactly.
speaking to integrity and brand of an individual, I always tell my team, like, do everything with the best intent. And it is a brand and a reputation so that they know when they're giving honest feedback or when they're doing something that everyone around them knows that they have good intent. I think integrity is one of the top things we should look for in everyone, especially in today's world with fraud, et cetera, because it's important. It's important for us to build trust early in a very remote world and find effective ways to do so. And that not may not always be easy, but lesson learned. And Jamie, I say this, but your self awareness is so powerful, and how you use it as a superpower to kind of better yourself in this world. So thank you for that. I love that. Uh, if we were to consult, because I told you you should consult more because you're so good at this. If we were to be consulting an organization and they don't know where to start with the topic of accessibility, the topic of supporting individuals with disabilities, what would be the top 3 things you recommend to them?
Number one, there's a saying within disabled rights, if it's about us, make sure that we're included. So nothing about us without us. So number one, get some disabled people that you can speak to, ask them to review your process, get their advice. So that's the number one action. When it comes to accessibility and I and underrepresented groups, I don't know about what the barriers that women face entering the workforce. So I need to make sure that I listen to women and fix any biases that we have in our processes. The same with race and ethnic minorities. So having solid touch points and advisors that you could go to, I think is number one step.
Love it.
Oh, and that takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and you have to be aware of your own biases before you can move forward. So that's number one. The second one actually comes to training and education around unconscious bias. I think that that is um, utmost importance, and it has to be done regularly. It's not just an annual tick box exercise, because you need to remind yourself of your biases all the time. So that's the second one. And then the third one goes back to the first one. It's those checkups, because maybe you've implemented some changes, but are they working? So you have to go back and continuously check and review, just to make sure that what your intentions are actually working in practice. So those are the 3 points of advice that I would offer.
I love that. So, making sure the individuals are involved in the process that this would impact. Number 2, training and education on bias, unconscious bias. I mean, very important. And number 3, measuring success. I want to touch on the third one because how do you do that? Right? I mean, we talk about qualitative versus quantitative in the world of measuring success or
Mhm.
looking back, reflecting and adjusting accordingly based on outcomes. But what are some things that organizations can look at as far as how they measure success? Hires in these categories would be a natural one, but what else?
It is a mixture of that qualitative and quantitative feedback. And it's not just you going out to the market for that. You have to look at external sites. Glassdoor being a window into how an organization works, unfiltered is a really good point. Then word of mouth and the hires that you have made. asking them how they feel, because sometimes we actually forget to go and speak to the people that have been really successful through the process because they've had insights into other processes and they're going to be more willing to share with you because they know you and they trust you because they've been successful. So I feel that that's a really good avenue for untapped information.
Love it. Love it. I want to kind of flip this on its back and ask a question that's more relative to our audience that requires support in this.
And
And are there communities out there? Are there areas that they can go and be educated on? Hey, these are the companies that truly support, whether it's DE&I, disabilities, et cetera. Or are there communities where they can ask the questions? Possibly they have an interview and they don't know if what the customer or company did was right, wrong, great, bad.
there are so many. I'm reminded that when we go through peak hiring at EcoVadis in certain locations, we connect sometimes with local NGOs for advice and best practice. For example, a couple of years ago, we were hiring a lot in Berlin. There's an organization called Frauenloop that help underrepresented groups, particularly refugees and immigrant women, enter jobs in tech. I formed a close relationship with the leader of that organization. I count on her for advice and her wisdom, and her guidance in many ways. Also in Toronto, we've got a local organization that supports us with in making sure that our practices are accessible. Because I don't want to make sure that I don't want to think that I'm the only custodian of disability, and my viewpoints from the UK and my upbringing formulates everything. So you have to really look at what's right. But then when I go back to the point that we made earlier about digital exclusion, you have to think about the differences between those established economies that are really at the forefront of technological change versus some of the emerging economies that might have some differences and nuances. And then there's so many different things that you need to consider. But I think contacting these local NGOs, a quick search on Gemini or Google will help. But I think that's a really good example of how we tackle these things.
Love that. Thank you, Jamie. So, for those of you listening that may have a disability or are curious more about organizations that support these initiatives and to learn more, Gemini or Google search for the NGOs. We got this.
It's a really good first step.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's where I start a lot of my inquiries and curiosity. So, I love that. We are going to learn more about Jamie right now. And we've learned about how, honestly, these things have shaped you to it's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it. And you've done some amazing things because of it. In your personal life, outside of career, outside of work, what brings you bliss? What makes you smile? What is your happy hour?
I love political activism. Um, so when I was at Peace Recruitment, this was around 2012, 2013, there was the Scottish independence referendum. And I got really interested in self-determination and local community activism. Again, it's probably related to focusing on the individual and the collective and the community, and political participation. And there was a TV crew, um, and they noticed me knocking on some doors trying to persuade people. And they asked me if I would be open to an interview. And I am fairly articulate. I made my points really well. Some people noticed this, and my activism sort of evolved and changed and got a bit more serious for a period of time. And this is why in my career history, I left recruitment and TA for a period of time, and then became a political advisor for a few years. And I just found it really fascinating because you could actually see behind the curtain how politics operates. And I was advising on topics ranging from fishing to farming, also gender-based violence, because at that time we were looking at the ratification of the Istanbul Convention that aims to eliminate violence against women and girls. So just your knowledge of various topics. It's so interesting and powerful, and it's really can change people's lives. But then Brexit happened, and I decided I needed to move. I didn't want to stay in the UK, and I went back to recruitment and worked in Germany, and then moved to Poland shortly after that.
So fascinating because that is not what I would have expected as what brings you bliss, but it makes sense if we look at kind of your career path and your time in politics. Uh, I find it fascinating because politics is no joke. I mean, we have our local community, we have it, we used to be close to the mayor, and he asked us to run for mayor, my husband or I.
Are you considering it?
No. No, 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 no. It is not a world that I could live in. It's too slow. Like, there's too many strategic conversations that need to have with too many stakeholders. I say, what, shake hands, kiss babies kind of thing.
Yes.
I think I'm a little too honest, if I'm being honest, but I would love to learn more because this is so fascinating to me. It is not an easy world to navigate. And for you to love this means that you must have been really good at it. So share more.
And you have to be switched on all the time. You have to consume news constantly because there could be an angle, there could be a difference of opinion that in party politics you want to use against your opponent, or you might want to use in your favor. And that constant trying to think of the angle actually alienated me over a period of time because I was really wanting to focus on change and
Sure,
improvement,
sure.
but it actually became, it sounds silly now that I'm saying it, but it became a bit too political, and less about actually driving change. And that's what sort of made me think again about the opportunities within that as a long term,
Yeah.
because I think like campaigning and trying to influence is where my heart is
Okay.
more than actually focusing on the legislation, shaking hands and kissing babies.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that side.
Okay, okay. See, and this makes me feel better because you're absolutely right. It is all about timing. It is all about your surrounding stakeholders. And top of mind, you're always wanting to impact, make change, influence, but it's not a straight road and you have to
Yeah.
just flex accordingly. I do like the way that you say that about just like advocating and that part of it, because I'll be honest, like even sometimes with this podcast and gosh, now we're getting honest, right? I wake up in some mornings and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, do I have the energy for this today?" But the minute I see the person across from me, I feed off of that, right? And it comes and it happens. And this is my opportunity, one, to speak to adults because there's 3 kids in my household, and 2, outside of the day-to-day lovely community at work, I get to learn about someone new and hopefully inspire and bring them a smile, right? Like, that's the goal at the end of the day. But in the politics world, that's a lot. It's a lot. Like you said, you're
Yeah.
always on.
Well, I'm glad that you're doing the podcast. It's great that you are and that you've decided to do it. So, thank you and kudos to you for doing it.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. It has been an adventure. I tell people, sure, why not? But I do love it. I do like you, Jamie. I'm going to learn from you and I'm going to pat myself on the back. I think I empathize well and I think I bring the best out of other people as they do to me. And while we are remote, I hope you can feel that because
Don't you think that's a skill that most people in TA have? I really think that empathy and being able to identify somebody's strengths and focus on it, because from the agency background, you really want to focus on those key attributes because that's what you're going to use to sell. And then when you're internal, you want to be honest and empathize, but then pick up on things. So I think it's really natural for us within TA and recruitment to focus on those areas.
I agree. I also think it's our job to get those individuals, advocating for themselves and more confident in that skill set, right?
Yeah.
They may see it, but they may see it as a line item on their resume or their profile where it actually should be in bold, big caps, bigger font, because that is their superpower and that's what they should kind of lead with. So I think that's also our job in this market too,
I agree.
is to
Yes.
just bring that to the forefront and, to your point, make it fit with the role that they should be in, right? Sometimes they may not see that as the best thing for a role that they want or are in, or it's something that brings them awareness that maybe they should look at something different because that superpower would be better used there.
And, Nicole, when you have account executives that close deals, or you've got um, developers that have solved a bug, for recruiters, the genuine thing that brings me the most happiness is when you find somebody their dream job, because you just know that it's a moment in their life that they're going to remember. But also, you have to take away some happy moments when you're saying to somebody, maybe this isn't the right job for you. You've excelled, but here are some key points and some feedback that you can utilize and action in your next interviews and your other job interviews. And I do that quite a lot, actually. Just while I'm saying it, where candidates often say to me at the last like 3 minutes or 2 seconds of the interview, "What's your feedback?" And I'm like, well, sometimes you're not going to be the perfect candidate. So I feel like it's my duty, instead of hiding behind an email or sending or trying to call them, 10 days later or something. I feel like I am experienced enough where I can say, well, I'm not sure that this is the best job for you, and give them really clear, actionable points. And I always get messages afterwards saying, thank you for being so honest. And I tell them names of other companies that are maybe hiring.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the Miracle on 34th Street, where
Oh,
Santa Claus would sometimes direct kids to the other store because one store didn't have it. I sometimes feel like I'm Santa Claus in that way, where when somebody's not good for EcoVadis, I say there's other companies that are hiring, and here's some key points. So yeah, maybe that's just something that I thought of today.
unicorn, Santa Claus. This is why we're here to think of these things today. But you know why it's so well received, Jamie, is because you're doing it with the best intent. Coming back to our whole piece around truly being in the right person with integrity to do so. So I think that's very powerful. I think the world is getting better at taking feedback. And as you can imagine, those individuals that are going for jobs might have gone through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of jobs. And here's another one, but maybe those other 101 didn't give them that insight that then helps them to take that forward and use that again as their primary superpower. I'm with you. It's a world where we should take those types of things because we all want to be happy in our perfect job and enjoy our job day to day and wake up and say, I'm going to make an impact again today because I'm in the right role, because I'm using my superpowers, and because Jamie helped me to get here.
I just can't believe that maybe some of the takeaways from this are unicorn and Santa Claus. I think that's
I mean,
unexpected.
well, we're going to keep going because I have more fun for you. We're going to switch to this or that. So, have you played this game before?
I haven't played this game specifically. I'm looking forward to the premise because I feel like I'm very decisive. So I'm excited to play.
Yes. And so you can make a decision. You can leave it at that as a mic drop, or you can expand as to the why, or you can choose both. Again, there are rules, but there's no defining rules, if that makes any sense. All right.
I'm ready to go.
Okay. We're going to jump right in. First one, resume or LinkedIn profile?
I'm definitely going to go with LinkedIn because it gives me the impression of how somebody presents themselves to the public.
Love that. I love that. And yeah, I'm with you. Picture, all the details. I'm with you. AI or no AI?
Absolutely AI. I love it. Candidate note taking is a dream. As a disabled person who would have to write notes all the time, it has just saved me so much pain, time, effort. It's the biggest aspect of my job that I has changed and been most transformational. So AI, I'm a huge fan.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Find me or find you?
I'm a recruiter, so find you. I think it's my job.
Yes, yes. Hunter. I can see it. I can see it. And again, shaking hands, kissing babies, you've got that political smile that'll say, yes, come over here. Great job, EcoVadis. You have a gem, a gem. Career path or whatever comes my way?
So when I was younger, it would definitely be whatever comes my way. I would think year to year, but now I'm more career path focused, driven, ambitious. I'm looking at what's ahead and how I can get there.
Love it. Love it. Automated interview or live human?
Live, human, every single day of the week.
Yes. Yes. And that's why we're here, right? Humanizing hiring. This piece is important all the time. Love it.
It's it's about the nuances.
Yeah.
It's about selling the company and the culture and the job. And I think that AI will help and support processes, but the human centric aspect of our job will never go away.
And it shouldn't. It shouldn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Reward or recognition?
Okay. So uh, I think that I would go with reward because I recognize my own brilliance.
I just love that answer so much. Oh, you are truly amazing, Jamie. Good manager or fun job?
Actually, good manager, because I think a good manager makes a fun job. Because if you've got a fun job, but your manager's a dragon, oh, you'll probably want to look elsewhere. So good management is really, really important.
You just brought dragon into our theme of fictional.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh. And the funny part is my son has the dragon blanket of the unicorn.
Oh my god. Your children have got exquisite taste. I love it.
I mean, someone bought it, right?
Yeah.
4-day work week or work remote?
It's actually a really difficult one. I think it's gonna be on the individual, but this is about me. So I love coming to the office.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go 4-day week.
Okay. There we go. You heard it here. Okay. Fun ones. Mountains or ocean?
Absolutely oceans, 100%. I'm a swimmer, not a climber.
Okay. And do you have a favorite like vacation spot?
Ooh. Um, so weekend break is Berlin. It's I lived there for 3 years. It's my heart is there. I just think it's such a fun city. I think if I was yeah, so that's probably the spot that I would go to.
Okay. Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
I don't
Okay.
know, but
Okay.
I know my techno music.
Okay. This one, I'm catching you off guard. Scotland, UK, or Poland?
Scotland, I'm very much advocate of how brilliant the country is. I would also say that I love Poland. I feel at home here. It's such a great country. So absolutely equal. I would say yes. And this one I would be a bit indecisive and go, it's a tie between those two.
Okay. What is the animal of Poland? Do we know?
Eagle, I think.
So
I
unicorn or
hope.
eagle? Unicorn or eagle?
It's gotta be a unicorn, 100%.
It has to be. It has to be.
Yeah.
I've never been to Scotland, but as you know, my husband makes alcohol and makes whiskey. So we need to go. We need to go because now the unicorn theme, the kids will love it. I mean, it's just it's moving up the list on where to go next. Love it. I love it.
To anybody listening or watching, maybe Google search the North Coast 500.
Okay.
It's a 500-mile circuit around the north of Scotland, which takes in some of the most breathtaking scenery, but it also has a number of gin and whiskey distilleries on the way.
Which prompts me for my next this or that. Gin or whiskey?
So it's got to be gin because I had a terrible experience with whiskey when I was a teenager, and every time I smell it, it just brings back bad memories. So gin all the way.
Which is so crazy for a Scottish man, but at the same time, gin is also in Scotland and very prevalent, so we're going with it. Oh, I love it. Oh, Jamie, this has been so fun. Can you please tell our audience where they can connect with you, where they can find you?
Sure. So on LinkedIn is probably the best place to look. Jamie Szymkowiak. Probably spelling will be in the blurb about this post,
We'll
but
put it in
that's
there.
probably the best way to connect.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much. This has been a delight. to talk about rainbows in the morning with my coffee, to just learn more about your experiences, and to bring me goosebumps. That alone just is so powerful. Your self-awareness, your kindness, your integrity is shining through. And I hope that this topic resonated with our audience, our listeners, our watchers. Uh, this is a powerful topic. And hopefully today, if you haven't already started on this journey, we gave you some helpful topics. But if you want to learn more, I will tell you, Jamie has a natural consulting ability, and I'm sure he would be open to answering any and all questions in this regard. So please reach out. This has been another episode of Hiring Happy Hour. Made me smile. You brought the energy. You brought the fun. Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you very much.
And that wraps another episode of Hiring Happy Hour. Thanks for tuning in and for believing, like we do, that hiring isn't just about filling jobs, it's about the impact we make. To catch more stories and show notes, visit hiringhappyhour.com. This episode was brought to you by Smart Recruiters, an SAP company, an AI-powered platform for superhuman hiring. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep humanizing hiring. Cheers!